Never let a slowdown go to waste. Folks, it is those types of things that wake us up.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Members of my mastermind have heard me use this analogy. I'm not sure if I've used it here or not, but I want to today because I think it's a powerful lesson in focus. Speaking of focus, are you focused on growing your business, and do you use technology? I know it's a cost, Dustin. It costs me. Folks, it's not a cost, it's an investment. You need to check out Spark. Spark will allow you to be able to import information that would take you time, thus money, and it pays for itself in no time. Spark4appraisers.com. Again, it's spark4appraisers.com. All right, folks, there's an analogy. I'll get it out. An analogy used that I've used multiple times with my coaching students, mastermind members, all-star team members, you name it. And it's a powerful analogy when you have decisions, plural, to make. And the analogy goes like this, right? A rabbit hunter goes out into the field, and there are, it's a field full of sagebrush, right? And he's got his gun ready, or she could be a female hunter. She's got her gun ready, and she's walking out into the field, and all of a sudden she trips or steps on a branch, right? And the branch cracks, bang, just a big noise. All of a sudden, the field comes alive with rabbits because there was basically one underneath every single piece of sagebrush. And all of a sudden, they all at once hear that twig snapping, and they run all over the place. So she throws her gun to her shoulder, and she starts trying to find a rabbit to shoot. And she sees one, and then she quickly sees a bigger one, and then she sees another one, and she sees another one, and another one. And the next thing you know, all the rabbits are gone. And she got none of them. And it wasn't because there wasn't enough opportunity. It was because she couldn't focus. When we get back from the break, I'm going to share with you what that has to do with you and your appraisal office, although I think your brain is probably already going there. Where your brain should be going is to technology and assisting with your business. Spark will allow you to import information. What does that mean? Well, Dustin, I can do that myself, or I can hire somebody to do that. Yes, you can. Both of those things cost money. What if you could choose the data that you use? Right? This is not a black box that chooses your data. It doesn't choose your comps, doesn't choose your adjustments, doesn't choose anything other than what you choose. You hit a button, and it automatically imports into your chosen appraisal software. Folks, I'm telling you, it is super, super cool. By the way, the software that ACI, Appraise-It, ClickForms, Nexus, Total, all of these things are supported with Spark. Go to spark4appraisers.com. That's Spark, F-O-R, appraisers with an S.com. Welcome back to the program, folks. We're talking about the rabbit analogy, that rabbit hunting analogy. The idea is if you've got so many rabbits running around the field and you don't just choose one, you're going to miss them all. Now, I know that some of you are saying, Dustin, what's the point? Everything is slow right now. Everything is slowed down and my opportunities are diminished. Au contraire, mohair. I'm telling you, folks, our opportunities over the last couple of months with the interest rate hike have only increased. Now, I want you to step back for just a second and analyze your thinking. Analyze your thought process. Most of you are now arguing with your earbuds right now. Well, Dustin, this is all I know. This is what I learned. This is who I am. I'm an appraiser. And not only am I an appraiser, but I'm an AMC appraiser. I don't like to admit it in public forums, but that's what I do. 80-90% of my work is done through AMCs. And I don't like them any more than the next person, but that's where I get my money. That's where I work. That's how I do. Well, folks, I want you to think for just a moment about what that does for you. There's an old saying, it's a political saying, I can't remember who it's attributed to, it doesn't matter. Probably many politicians have used this, right? Never let a disaster go to waste. Never let a problem go to waste, right? Now, I don't like that idea that you take advantage of someone else's issues, but politically it makes sense that when a natural disaster happens that you step up and you say, hey, I'm here to lead, and that to ignore it would be political suicide. Well, folks, I want to use somewhat of a similar analogy with what's going on right now. and ask you what you're doing about it. Never let a slowdown go to waste. Folks, it is those types of things that wake us up. Status quo does not wake us up. Status quo is easy. The bubble is simple. It's comfortable. When you're waking up every day and you've got that fax machine running and it's ringing and you're getting orders, life is good. Life is happy. The only thing you have to complain about is efficiencies. In fact, I was talking to my wife over the weekend. I said, what's interesting is with this slowdown, my business has increased. As a coach, my business has increased. You would think the opposite. You would think that things slow down and people are going to say, well, I don't want to spend money on coaching. I don't want to spend money on education. No, they are looking for help. They're looking for an expert. They're looking for somebody who has proven that he can go through a couple of cycles in the mortgage world and still come out on top. And that's what I'm helping people do these days. But what's interesting is I was still very busy last year as well because I was busy with people saying, how do I become more efficient? I've got orders that I'm turning down left and right. I can't possibly get to every order that's coming in, and I want to. I want to be more efficient. I don't want to turn down work. And so I was helping them with that. There's always a reason to coach, right? There's always a reason to come to a coach. There's always a reason to learn. And I would encourage right now, each of us to step back and say, where are we with the quote unquote slowdown? There's many of my clients who have not slowed down at all. I kid you not, folks. That is not hyperbole. That is absolute, honest to God fact. There are some businesses out there that have actually increased. Now, what is the difference? And I know some of you are going to say, well, it's because they're in private work. Well, maybe that might have something to do with it, but that didn't happen in a vacuum. But it's more than that, folks. It's not just those that are in private work. I am telling you that many of my clients are busier now than they were a year ago or 2 years ago because they have worked on their business, because they have focused on specific rabbits. Folks, when you have a decision to make, and there are rabbits running everywhere, and I'm telling you they're everywhere right now, not just in appraisal. I've seen many appraisers branch out and do different things. They're into real estate sales. They're outside of real estate completely. They're running a second job. They're moonlighting. They're doing whatever. And some are going to say, well, I'm forced to. I got to pay the bills. Well, being forced to and got to pay the bills sometimes is a great motivator. That's not necessarily a bad thing. So, folks, my encouragement today is that with all the rabbits running out there, and I see them everywhere. I was talking to my son, who is an entrepreneur. He's a mindset that's very similar to me, which, by the way, is not always good as a father-son relationship. We're sometimes in competition in not a good way. But over the years, as he's grown up and matured and I've softened, we've become really good friends. And we talk about business opportunities all the time. And one of the things I said to him, I was in the car driving with him somewhere, and I said, what's interesting is I don't worry about my business. I don't worry about my ability to make money. I don't worry about success long term. I've already failed multiple times in my life, and I've shared it here. I haven't gone into detail, but I years ago, about 11 years ago, I failed miserably. That wasn't quite that long. Anyway, mattereth not. Several years ago, I failed miserably at a non-appraisal related business that I thought would be successful. And I dumped time, and I dumped money, and I hired people, and I had to lay off like 11 people, and I lost over $100,000, and not to mention all my time. It was a failure. It was a miserable failure, folks. But I learned from that experience. I grew from that experience. That experience has helped me to not make similar mistakes again, maybe on a grander scale. But here's the thing, and I kind of got off in the weeds a little bit there. I want to get back on track to say this. I told my son, I'm not scared of failure. Failure sucks, and failure hurts, and failure is embarrassing. But I'm telling you, folks, I know myself. I know I will pick myself back up. I will bootstrap it, and I will make it work again. And I told my son, I said, there are so many opportunities. I remember why it came up. He pitched me a business idea that I think is brilliant. I said, go for it, man. That sounds like something that would really be successful. And I said to him, it's things like this that there's so many rabbits out there. There's so much opportunity. No, I'm not encouraging you to leave the appraisal world, though there may be some of you that's a good idea. What I'm saying, folks, is what allows me to sleep well at night is knowing there are so many rabbits out there. There are so many opportunities. If this failed miserably, if appraisal was gone tomorrow, okay, that sucks, but guess what? I've got other opportunities, and so do you. There's a bigger lesson here, and I'll close with this. It's not just about changing careers. What about inside the appraisal world itself? What about inside the profession that you've already chosen to be a part of? I'm telling you, folks, there are rabbits galore inside the valuation world. And don't listen to your peer. Oh, never do a desktop. Oh my gosh, it just diminishes the profession. Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever. There are opportunities galore for those of you who want to take advantage of it. Speaking of which, I would love to coach you through that. I'm doing a lot of that actually right now. My private coaching is, what are your options? Where do you want to pivot? I can help you to do that. reach out to me, theappraisercoach.com. It's the coach at theappraisercoach.com.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.